Hi. So this is the third clip in a series following an entrepreneur's survey around the sort of things that keep entrepreneurs awake. And surprisingly enough, cash is one of the fundamental areas that are a concern for entrepreneurs. The reasons for this are fairly obvious. Once you start and you make that step into being your own boss, doing your startup, you are ultimately responsible for everything to do with the finances of the business. So usually you're funding it yourself, possibly with friends and family, which which actually increases the risk, increases the stress. So what we're going to talk about today is basically elements to think about so that you're managing the stress around that and the risk around that, so that within the sort of areas of your comfort zone. So as with everything else, financial management is not complicated. It's one of those areas which, for me, pensions would be one where when I hear the word pension, I just glaze over. For others, financial management or cash flow, those kind of phrases would be just the same. So I think what's most important is if you're going to embark on your own entrepreneurial adventure, you've got to get comfortable with financial management. It is not complex, but you do need some straightforward dashboard type mechanism of seeing where you are and tracking your progress so you know ultimately whether you're going to be successful or not. When we talked about business planning, we talked about the key metrics, the key assumptions that you need to identify early on so you know when you're actually running the business whether you're on track or not, so that you can make good decisions around whether to deviate your strategy or change things around, that sort of thing. And cash is no different. In terms of the approach to this, there are a couple of key measures to think about. One is obviously just the physical amount of cash in the bank, which is a good start. The other is the cash headroom. So what you're basically looking at with cash headroom is if you allow for your fixed costs and you project those forward and sold nothing, basically how much, at what point will you run out of money? So you can see exactly where your sales need to fall and what you've got to therefore do, what you've got to prioritize to make sure that you're successful, particularly in the first 12, 24 months. And successful means not running out of cash. So it's all dead easy, really. So in terms of a model for doing this, spreadsheets are an incredibly simple way of managing cash. I put an example up on an article recently, which I'll put the link in for this post so you can have a look at it. But in essence, all you're doing is just like running a budget at home, is looking at the cash you start with, the amount of money you're spending and the amount of money you've got coming in and what's left over. If you're achieving your objectives, is hopefully your profit for your efforts. So in terms of putting this together, it's going to fall on, depending on the type of business, fall on some key assumptions around your sales price, your cost of sale, whatever fixed costs you've got, if you need premises, if you need staff, those kind of things. And you're just looking to build up a very simple picture that you can update as you go, review at least once a week so that you can keep track of your balance in terms of whether you're making cash within a week and ultimately whether you're overall, from where you start, whether you're positive on the cash flow. So get that right in the context of your risk profile, which is really important. How exposed are you prepared to be in terms of cash? Once you start self-funding a business, it is your dream. It is your effort and your blood, sweat and tears that's going to make it work. It's very hard once you start to switch off the the funding. And you can get into all sorts of difficulties scratching around for cash if you don't get these things right. So do spend the time on this area. If you need any help, as ever, please do get in touch or find an independent accountant or someone you know who you really trust with this stuff. Not like trust to choose you a sandwich for lunch. This is trust with your life savings. And make sure that you put the time in this area. Don't neglect it. That's it for this week. If any more information, please get in touch. Otherwise, I will be back soon. Many thanks.